and good morning. Welcome to Village Vitality series on this Monday morning. My name is Aline, and I'm so excited that you joined me today. Today, we're going to be focusing a lot on power, and we're talking about breath power, muscle power, focusing on this area of the body called the solar plexus. In the practice of yoga, this is considered our seat of power, transformation, fiery activeness. And it makes a lot of sense actually in modern day, thinking about the functioning that happens in this area of the body, as well as some of the glands in the endocrine system located in this general area of the solar plexus. So we have our adrenal glands at the tops of our kidneys, which activate our fight and flight response, adrenaline, and all of those other neurotransmitters. And so we'll be stimulating those organs, really helping with elimination and digestion today, which I think is pretty powerful and pretty awesome to focus on. And then, of course, the muscular power in our entire core. So we're not just focusing on abdominals. We're hitting up the back, side bodies, and all of that. So as a lot of you probably know and maybe have experienced just from everyday life, when we have power and strength in this area, it really transcends all of our activities throughout the day. Any of our movements, everything typically originates with the core activation. And if we don't have that strength there, it makes everything else harder. It puts a lot more strain on our other smaller muscle groups and our joints. So that's a huge reason why we're focusing on this today. In terms of what you'll need today, just your handy chair, your trusty chair, which is your companion now if you've been practicing with me since the beginning. I am wearing footwear today. We'll be doing a little bit of standing work. So if you know that you need the support of your shoes, especially if you have any medical conditions where you should be wearing footwear, keep them on. Otherwise, I do really recommend taking the shoes off. It's just so great for the muscles in the feet. And if you did the class, a couple classes back, where we did the toe exercises and the foot exercises, and you were struggling with that, this is probably great to actually take the shoes off. I also recommend if you're going to go shoeless to go sockless too. That way you just have a better grip on the floor. Everything we'll be doing, we'll be holding onto the chair for standing. So make your decision, shoes on or shoes off. Let's go ahead and have a seat in that chair. And remember your options for sitting today. If you want a little bit more challenge, working on that posture and the deep core strength, you're going to come to the very edge of your seat. If it just puts so much strain on your back, maybe you've tried it a couple times and you get maybe a sore back after classes, I really recommend going ahead and scooting to the back and just trying to stay as upright and engaged as possible. So just try not to collapse on yourself and fully rest into the chair. But this just gives you a little more support if you need it. All right, so before we get started with our breathing technique and our centering for today, I do just want to tell you a little bit about this technique. It's called Ujjayi Pranayama, which can translate to conqueror's breath. Some people call it warrior breath, or I've heard it referred to as ocean breathing because of the sound that you make while doing this technique. Now, I will say if you have extremely high blood pressure, especially if you're not on any blood pressure medications, then you should not perform this breathing technique. It's nothing super serious can happen, but it's just advised not to do that if you have very high blood pressure. Now, if you've been on blood pressure medications for a long time and you don't have any issues with it spiking, go ahead and try it. If you start to get, when this goes for anyone, if you start to get dizzy or lightheaded, which can happen when we do breathing techniques, then that's your body telling you, all right, I've met my threshold. Go ahead and release that breathing technique. So even if I'm still going, cueing it, you're going to just stop and return to normal breathing. All right. So with this breathing technique, A couple awesome benefits. It's really good for digestion and, of course, for the respiratory system. In terms of what it does for your lungs, it's actually pretty cool. The vibrations that will create and the back pressure that will create with this technique helps to force the airways open for longer while you're breathing, which means more oxygen in and more CO2 out. And also, it stimulates, we have all these little cilia on the insides of the bronchioles in our lungs, and they sweep phlegm and mucus and dust and other stuff up from the base of the lungs all the way up and out. So this breathing technique really stimulates those guys to do their job even in overdrive. So don't be surprised if you feel like you need to eliminate some phlegm or mucus after this breathing technique, even possibly later on in the day. All right, I think I've talked enough. Let's get ready. So coming to the edge of the seat, or again, shifting back and using the support of the chair. If you're coming to the edge of the seat, just make sure you have your good alignment. This is really in chair yoga called seated Tadasana, or seated mountain pose. And so we're trying to come to basically anatomical position, but seated. So anatomical position is the position that our body takes when every joint is in neutral. And it looks like this. If you've practiced yoga, this is Tadasana, which is pretty cool, I think. So we're just doing it seated. So edge of the seat, making sure just the glutes are there in contact. Knees are hip width apart. Then heels are under knees, toes pointing straight ahead. We're thinking about lifting and lengthening all the way up through the top of the head and preserving those neutral curves of the spine. Hands can rest comfortably wherever they feel comfortable to rest for you. Let's go ahead and just roll the shoulders up, back, and down a couple times, because a lot of us are probably kind of trapped in that habitual forward shoulder posture. And so this kind of will help you just really feel like opening up the chest. So just rolling up and then back and down. Trying to work through the full range of motion here of those shoulder joints. And when you feel a little bit more relaxed, maybe feeling like opening that chest more, you can stop. Think about just really minimally squeezing the shoulder blades together. We don't want you to go crazy with it and tweak anything, but just a little baby squeeze. And then when you're ready, let the eyes close. And just begin to notice the breathing. For a lot of you, once you close your eyes, you may automatically start to alter the breath. But if possible, just try to observe it in its natural state without editing. And whenever we practice any breathing technique, we want to make sure we do it without too much force or effort. Remember how I've talked about listening to your body, which is our one main rule for class. And so if your body starts to tighten down while you're practicing these techniques, tension creeps in to a maximum, that's another cue to stop. Or to at least reassess and try to relax and then continue. So if it feels right to you, and you can begin to deepen the breathing. And for this breathing technique, we'll practice a constriction of the throat on exhale. And so to get everyone used to this, I want you to take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, open your mouth and whisper. So you're making this ha sound, constricting the throat, almost like you're trying to fog up a pair of sunglasses before you clean them. So practice that a few times with the mouth open. Inhaling through the nostrils, exhaling. Inhaling nostrils, exhaling. Keep going like that, and it's okay if you're breathing faster or slower than what I just demonstrated. But try that a few more rounds with the open mouth. Ha. And once you feel like you've mastered that, you're going to try to keep that same exact tension in the throat on exhale, but with the mouth closed. So you're trying to shift the airflow in and out through the nostrils now. And it will sound a little different. It'll sound almost like the ocean, or especially if you're listening to the ocean sound of a seashell, but just magnified. So go ahead and join me if you can. Inhaling and exhaling. Making that soothing ocean sound. Doing that for a few more rounds. And then if that feels very accessible to you for the full expression of the technique, you would keep that restriction the entire time. So you're restricting the throat on inhale and exhale. But don't worry, don't push yourself too hard. So if this feels like a good challenge level to you, stay right here with the relaxed inhale through the nostrils and the constricted exhale either through the mouth or the nostrils. And honestly, my preference doing this breathing technique is to only constrict on the exhale. So inhaling easily through the nostrils and exhaling with the constriction in the throat through the nostrils. Practice this a few more times. I will ask you to try this technique during a few of the exercises we'll be doing today. And as you sit and breathe here and listen to the beautiful ocean sounds that you're creating with your breathing, take these last few moments of closed eye observation to look inward and just observe the body today. Observe if you feel sore anywhere. If any particular part of your body is just really resonating today. Trying not to think of it as good or bad, but just observing in neutrality. The more we can do this in our practice, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 1 hour, the more we can take it into our everyday life and trying not to label good and bad and can kind of make our lives a little easier. Take about 3 to 5 more rounds of your ocean breathing, backing off whenever you need to if your body's telling you. And as you take that last breath or two before you release the technique, unless of course you would like to keep working with this technique the whole time, begin to notice that space of the solar plexus. It's right above the belly button and below the chest, pretty much that whole space in between. Do you feel it moving as you breathe? Do you feel it engaging a little on that exhale? Just start to bring all of your heightened awareness there. And we'll begin to move through some cat and cow spinal movements, trying to originate the movement at that space. So you can keep your eyes closed if you would like, or you can open them if you need to follow along. But remembering here on your inhale, you're pressing that space of the solar plexus forward. Just start subtle here. Solar plexus moves forward, inhaling, chin lifts. Exhaling, really tightly engage that space, round the back a little bit. Almost like you're trying to push that solar plexus space back towards the back of the room. Let the chin and head drop a little. So start small with these movements to begin. Inhaling, pressing forward, opening. Exhaling, engaging, closing, tightening. And each time you shift through cow here on the inhale and cat on the exhale, start to make the movement a little bit bigger. Just to reach your edge here. Trying to create as much shape change from inhale to exhale as possible. And remember, if you'd like to and it feels good to you, you can keep that Ujjayi breathing throughout the whole class. You might hear me pick it up, and I'll definitely cue it for certain parts of class today. Take a few more rounds here, moving at your own pace. Don't worry about following along with me. I really prefer for you to move at the pace of your breathing. It's so powerful when we can link our breath with the movement of our bodies, moving in harmony instead of just as an afterthought to the breath. You can start sliding those hands if you're making this movement bigger. Remember just not to let that head fall back totally unsupported. Want to keep engagement in the neck. Cycle through about 2 more times. Good. On your next inhale, just lifting and lengthening. We'll move into some more engagement, just slowly warming up that core. Hands come down to the sides, pretty much at the legs of your chair. So if you have been sitting scooted back, definitely at this point, if you haven't already, scoot forward to the edge of your seat. Lift and lengthen, chest opens. On your exhale, you're trying to just slide those right fingers as far down that leg as you can. On your inhale, you're lifting back up. And on your exhale, sliding down to the other side. Now notice I'm keeping the top shoulder open and basically in line with my bottom shoulder. So it's very important. It's not as important how far you go. It's more important to not let that top shoulder cave forward. So I want to keep it open, chest forward. I may only go 2 inches here. That's perfectly fine. As long as I'm feeling that stretch in the side, it's more important to keep my spine safe than to let my ego get involved and tell me I should go further because Aline's doing it, or because I'm practicing with my partner over there who's a little more flexible. Exhaling into your side bend, inhaling to center. Now, if you want a little more challenge and to start bringing a little more muscle engagement here, you're going to take that opposite arm and lift it up and over as you move to the side. You'll also probably feel a little bit more of a stretch. And of course, you'll be strengthening now the shoulders and arms. Keep that breathing full and deep though. So if you notice that this causes you to get shallow breathing or have any issues there, then drop the arms. And if you still would like even more challenge, I'll just demo this a couple times, but then I'm going to continue with the one arm lifting. You can do no arms for support. And this is truly, it's going to work on mobility a little bit, but mostly on strengthening. So same deal, you would exhale, and you definitely won't go as far without having the support of your hand on that chair. Okay, so let's do 2 more to each side. Decide whether you want to use one arm, both arms, or no arms. Moving with your breath, exhaling down, inhaling up. Lower body is staying planted. Feet staying planted, knees staying apart. So those legs are actually working a little here. One more lower down. And come back up to center. Roll it out, shake out whatever you need to just decompress a little bit. And we'll move on to even more waking up of the core here. So go ahead and take an inhale, send those arms straight out in front of you. And on your exhale, you're going to cross or stack one arm over the other. And you may recognize this movement from a couple classes ago if you joined me for this. Very powerful solar plexus and core engagement, but a very small looking movement. So on your exhale, you're going to twist, really try to engage all of these oblique muscles. I think I talked about the different layers, or I might not have, of your abdominal muscles. So we really have 3 layers. The most shallow layer is that rectus abdominis, or the 6-pack that everybody really wants to go for. Keep twisting, by the way, while I talk. So you're exhaling as you twist, inhaling as you come to center. So that's your most shallow layer. If we peel that layer away, we have our oblique muscles. Well, actually, kind of the rectus and external obliques are on that level. And then we have a layer of internal oblique muscles. And then the deepest layer is what we're working in addition to the obliques, is our transverse abdominis. This one is the most important layer, guys. It's not the sexiest layer, but it's the one that keeps our organs in. When we really can activate and engage that layer, it acts as almost a girdle for our spines. So it's super important for posture and strength. All right, your shoulders are probably getting a little tired by now. Go ahead and on an exhale, relax the arms, shake them out. We're going to practice that movement one more time, and you have 2 options. You can either continue as we were doing, or if you'd like a little more challenge, you're going to add a knee tuck. And if you decide to add that knee tuck and you do it 2-3 times and then you regret adding that knee tuck, then go ahead and come back to just the twist, okay? So listen to that body. Let's go ahead and inhale the arms back up. On your exhale, cross the opposite arm over on top. And you're going to twist again. So let's just do one regular twist to each side. And you really should feel a pretty powerful engagement here. You have to think about it. You have to activate those muscles. It won't come naturally. If you want to add that tuck, you're tucking the same knee up as the side that you're twisting to. And remember, maybe you lift that foot 2 inches. That's still really good work. It's not like you have to try to touch your arms, although you can if you want to. Now, the key here is to keep the back long. So I don't want you to do this sort of thing. We're not trying to crunch here. In fact, crunches are really not great for the spine. There's really more risk than benefit. And it's really, the crunches are only engaging that 6-pack layer, which is not the important one. I mean, maybe to our aesthetics, but not to our function. So keep the back nice and straight. Keep tucking if you can. Maybe bring that Ujjayi breathing back in. Or your pursed lip breathing if you feel more comfortable with that. But that audible breath, whatever technique we choose, can really just ensure that we're breathing adequately for the movements that we're trying out. All right, let's see if we can do one more to each side. If you haven't tried the tuck at all, try it here just once. Give it a shot. And good work. Relax those arms. Shake them out, swing them out. Maybe some shoulder rolls would feel good. Any decompression movements, just listen to your body. To make sure those feet are centered again, we'll take a little vinyasa here. So basically a forward fold and a back bend. So on your inhale, remember if shoulder issues or if shoulders are an issue for you or you have rotator cuff problems or recent rotator cuff surgery, you're not going to bring arms out to the sides or you're going to minimize that. When I tell you to lift arms overhead, you're going to lift straight forward and up. And that can go for anyone regardless of whether you have issues or not, if it just feels better to your body. So I'm going to demonstrate it that way, but you can certainly open arms out to the sides. So we're going to inhale the arms up and overhead. On your exhale, as you fold forward, you can either keep the arms lifted, swan dive with the arms, or have the hands at the thighs. So I'm going to show swan dive today. So go ahead and relax the arms down. Let's do it all together. So inhale to lift the arms. Exhale to come forward into your fold. Now remember, if lowering the head below the heart does not feel great to you, or you've been advised never to do that by your doctor, then you're just going to stay here. And you're still going to feel a bit of a stretch in the back. But if you can, and if it feels okay to you, even if you get dizzy when you come up, I want you to really allow yourself to relax forward. As long as you don't get so dizzy that you cannot continue. And you're just trying to roll the shoulders out, relax the head and neck down. Great stretch for the whole back of the spine. We have these ligaments that run the entire length of the spine on both the front and the back, and this is a great way to just get a little bit more mobility into our spines. A little more fluidity. Because I do believe that we're only as young as our spines are supple. And that is not a quote of mine. It is a famous yogi that I am sadly not remembering right now. On your next inhale, slowly start to lift the head. Go ahead and slide those hands up to the tops of the thighs for support. Re-engage the back, engage that solar plexus space. On your inhale, as you come up, try to do so with a lengthened spine. Pause here, especially if you feel a little bit dizzy. And we'll move into our back bend. So deep inhale, open the chest forward. Go ahead and send those hands back. Remember your options for our basic back bend. You can grab the backs of the chair. If you want a little bit more chest and bicep stretching, you're going to rotate the hands out. And on your inhale again, you're just pressing forward through the belly, ribs, chest. Lift that chin up towards the ceiling, but don't let the head fall back unsupported. Taking a breath or two here. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Shine that heart forward. One more deep inhale. And on your exhale, release. Let's go ahead and straighten out that right leg. Inhale to send the arms forward. Keeping the spine long. On your exhale, shift back until you feel some pretty powerful engagement or until your back starts to round. We don't want that to happen. So chest stays lifted. You might even be able to tap the back of that chair, perhaps. And on your inhale, come forward. Exhale, lean forward. Notice my back is staying straight still. I'm going to lean forward until I feel the back of my leg light up a little bit. Start talking to me. Probably my calf too. Inhale to center. So we're going to shift like that a few more times. Exhaling back until you feel, the abs engage. Inhaling to center. And exhaling forward until you feel the back of the legs light up. Now, if your arms are getting super tired, you can do this with hands just kind of to the sides of the chair. Just light touch here just to keep your balance. But I do encourage you to have the arms up if you have that strength and energy there. That's how we're going to build more strength. We have to challenge our bodies, but not to the point where we're barely breathing or we're feeling any kind of sharpshooting, pinching, burning type pain. Hope you guys are doing good so far. Let's do one more tilt back. One more tilt forward. This time we're going to hold that stretch. Hands come to the non-straightened leg. And here it's okay to let your back round just a little bit, as long as you still feel the stretch all along the back of that leg. If you'd like to here, you might want to experiment with just slowly rotating those toes out to the side, noticing how that stretch shifts. Kind of feel the sensation in a different space. Bring those toes to center and maybe rotate inward. If you've had a recent hip replacement, don't rotate inward, or if it doesn't feel good to the knee or hip. But you may notice with that shifting, so just kind of keep shifting out. Center and in. And just see if that feels good. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Just keep those toes to center. We're going to hang out here for 3 more breaths. And I'm talking slow, deep yogic breaths. So it's going to feel maybe longer. All right, when you bring those toes back to center, slowly come up. Shift back. Hands are going to come to the backs of your seat. Now, I'm not just sinking all my weight back there and disengaging my core. That would be probably the thing you would do if you're not thinking about it. I want you to still lift up and out, still engage that solar plexus, especially right here, this whole area, okay? And then we're going to attempt to lift and lower that leg. So try to keep the shoulders down. None of this. You're going to lift and lower. Remember, you may only lift an inch. That's great. That's really working your psoas muscle, those deep hip flexors, as well as extra engagement in the abdominals. If you want to, lift on your exhale, Ujjayi Pranayama. Stay with me if you can. If this is not really enough of a challenge for you, you can try sending one arm. Oh yeah, feeling that exponential increase in abdominal engagement there. Or even both, but don't compromise the back. I'm going to bring that arm down. Try one more lift. Let's see if we can hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Come up, take a little stretch, just opening up here. Go ahead and slide that foot in. Just noticing differences in the sides of the body. Let's take another vinyasa and even it out. Hands down by the sides in Tadasana or your seated Tadasana or your seated mountain pose. Inhale to lift the arms up. Exhale, either arms stay lifted, they swan dive, or hands come down to the thighs to come forward into your forward fold, Uttanasana in Sanskrit. Relax here. Turn that head side to side. Yes and no. Whatever movements you need to do to really just allow the body to relax. And if you'd like to take a bind here, grabbing opposite wrists or elbows behind the legs, or even grabbing for the chair legs, feel free to do so, but again, only if it feels good to you. Hopefully throughout this Vitality series, you start to realize and perhaps change the relationship with your body. You are in power. You are in control, even if it feels like sometimes your body takes over. When we work these connections, this subtle strength, hopefully we can feel that power even more. Inhale to slowly start to lift the head. Slide those hands up to the thighs. Re-engage the back, lengthen as much as you can to lift all the rest of the way up. If you've gotten a little dizzy, hang here a bit before moving into your back bend. So we're going to shift those arms back. You can grab the chair or not. Inhale to send that chest forward. Lift the chin. Breathing here for a breath or two. And on your exhale, release. All right, so let's even out those sides. So we're straightening out that left leg now. Toes lifting. Arms coming forward on your inhale. Exhale, we're shifting back. And inhaling to center. Exhaling, shifting forward. So remember, you're just moving bit by bit here until you feel, as you exhale and lean back, that muscle engagement, keeping the back long. And as you shift forward until you feel that stretch in the back of the leg. Do your best to keep the spine long and neutral. And remember, if those arms are tiring you out, go ahead and release them down. Continue that movement. You can bring your breathing technique back here if you would like to. Exhaling. Let's do 2 more rounds. If you've given your arms a break and you want to try strengthening again, bring those arms back. One more tilt back. And hands come down for your fold forward to really focus on that stretch. Remember, both hands to the opposite thigh. Here it's okay to let the back release a little bit. In fact, try to release any tension in the face, in the shoulders. Bringing in that breathing technique if you would like to here, or just relaxing for about 3 more breaths. Really important to stretch that back chain of muscles. This is really getting into our hamstrings. Oh, and I almost forgot. You can open out and come to center and then rotate in. Again, only rotate in if you don't have any issues with the hips or hip replacement. But as I was mentioning, these hamstrings, when they get tight, when they get weak, they contribute to poor posture and back pain, which probably won't surprise some of you because everything is connected in the body. All right, toes come back to center. Inhale to come up. And let's get that power move in. So hands come behind you, tilting back. We're going for those leg lifts here. So remember, I'm staying very engaged. I'm not letting that back round and disengage. So solar plexus, shine that forward. Lift on the inhale, I would recommend, and lower. I almost feel like when you inhale and lift, it really just like the breath bolsters that leg up a little bit for you. Remember, if you're just lifting a inch or a centimeter off the ground, that's awesome. That's good work towards strengthening. And also remember, if you want a little bit more challenge, you can lift one arm forward or both. Deep breathing here, maybe even your pursed lip breathing, or that ujjayi. Two more lifts. You guys can do it. On this last one, see if we can hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Very good. Slide that foot in. Can open that chest out and forward a little bit. And we're going to take our final couple of postures standing. So we're working on a little bit of balance and a little bit of strength and stretching. So this will be our cool down. So if you want to practice coming up through your chair pose and you want to test your balance and strength a little bit and you feel comfortable with that, you're going to slide those heels in toward your chair. Keep that distance between the knees. And you're going to start to shift forward. Hands come forward. Shift that weight into the toes. Slowly start to lift as slow as you can up off the chair. Arms come overhead, deep stretch. And exhale to release. All right, shake it out. Come on back behind your chair. I'm going to turn my chair just so you can see me a little bit better in profile. And because we've done a lot of work here on the front of the body, we're going to take a little stretch for that area. And you'll have in this an opportunity to test your balance if you would like to. So I'm going to bring my left fingertips to the chair, my right hand to my right hip. Now, if balance is a very big issue, you're going to keep both hands just for this transition of movement. So I'm going to bend that right knee, and I'm going to take a step back. Pretty big step. I'm going to bend into that front knee. And now, to really get the stretch, you might already feel it, but think about tucking that tailbone under. So I'm going to try to tuck that tailbone under, and pubic bone lifts forward. And I'm going to just feel this whole area engage. Well, not engage, it's going to stretch. It's going to light up. So again here, if you want to test your balance a little bit, you're just doing one hand. Maybe you're even sending this one arm up overhead. Maybe you're sending both arms up overhead. So we're essentially in a high lunge position in your yoga practice. My back heel's lifted. I'm balancing on those back toes. But that chair's there if I need it or start to lose balance. On an exhale, if you have the arm lifted, lower it down. Hand to hip. Now here for my last pose on this side, I'm going to start to rotate that back foot and hip open. So I'm rooting my back foot down. More or less, my front heel should intersect my back foot, the arch. So if I'm tracing a line there, that's what I'm seeing. Both hips are opening. I'm going to inhale that right arm up and exhale, stretch. So you should feel this lovely stretch all along the side of the body. If you're not feeling it very much, you can try to come down to that elbow. Oh, there we go. See if you can gaze towards the seat of your chair. And I'm trying to keep that chest open and lifted. So I'm trying not to release the chest forward. Then I'm probably not going to feel that stretch very much. If my arm's getting tired, I'm just going to send it down by my side. Triangle pose or Trikonasana. On an inhale, slowly come up. And moving slowly here, I'm going to try to shift back through my high lunge. So pivot on that back foot. And then I'm going to bend into that front knee, take a big step forward. Feet come back together. Now I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Just so you can see me better, I'm going to turn my chair. But you don't have to turn yours. So now we're working with the left foot. Hand can come to the hip for test of balance, or both hands stay at the chair. You're going to bend that left knee, heel lifts, and take a big step back. Toes stay on the ground, but heel stays lifted. I'm going to bend into that front knee a little bit, really rooting into the whole sole of that foot. And then I'm going to really just try to rock the pelvis forward. So I'm tucking that tailbone and feeling that nice stretch here. Maybe that left arm lifts. Maybe the right arm lifts too, or maybe you just pick those fingertips up and bring them down and just test that balance little by little. Because remember, we want to push our limits, but we don't want to push so far that we might hurt ourselves. So it's all about finding that balance of effort and release. 3 more breaths here. If the arms are still lifted, lower them down. Left hand either to hip or chair. And then we're going to start to open those hips out to the side. Root that back foot down, straightening both legs without locking for triangle. Inhaling that left arm up and exhaling into my side bend. Should feel that nice stretch all along the side of the body. Perhaps I'm bringing my elbow or forearm down to the chair. Go ahead and gaze towards the seat of that chair. You might even notice that increase your stretch. And remember, if that top arm gets tired, this is designed to be a little bit more of a relaxing stretch pose, although you're still going to feel some work here, of course. So if you need to, send that arm down, because the main importance here is getting the stretch in the core that we worked really hard today. Perhaps bringing your final rounds of Ujjayi breath here. Let's take 3 more breaths. And when you're ready to come out of this stretch, you're going to slowly lift. Slowly pivot those hips forward. Try to pivot onto the back foot. So we do this to test the balance and to test those small little muscles, trying to lift that foot up in one seamless motion if I can, and bring it to meet the other foot. Awesome. All right, time to relax. So take any little decompressive movements and come on and have a seat. This time you're relaxing in the chair. So sitting all the way back, even though I'm relaxing here, I am still just trying to stay lifted, but I might even want to shift my hips forward, as long as it's not going to make me round the back. So relaxing the shoulder blades to my chair. Maybe I'm even sending the feet forward a little. Maybe I'm letting the knees open out to the sides. I'm going to take a couple more deep breaths, especially if you feel like the heart rate is still a little bit elevated above your rest. And as you have your eyes closed here, just try to turn the focus again to every detail that you can absorb about your body. The differences that you feel now versus when you began. Notice how your joints feel, maybe moving from the feet all the way up to the knees, to the hips, the the spine, into the shoulders and arms. And as you trace that observation of the body, also allow those spaces to relax. Sometimes we have to actually think and force our bodies to release because we have these holding patterns of tension. So work your way from your feet all the way up to your jaw and your eyebrows, those small muscles in the face and the head. Maybe that chin tucks slightly down towards the chest. Let your breathing go. So if you have been practicing your Ujjayi technique throughout the class, let that go. Let go of any breath control. And slowly begin to bring your observation once more to that solar plexus space. Feeling as if you could draw energy and power and transformation from that space. Just by creating a different relationship with the body and by engaging, stretching and opening and strengthening the physical body. Feel a sense of power. And just begin to slowly start to wake up the muscles again. Maybe wiggling the toes and the fingers. Working those movements to be a little bit bigger. Maybe you're moving the arms, the ankles. And when you feel ready, just starting to re-engage a little bit, maybe using those hands to just help you come to a little bit more of an upright position. And you can blink those eyes open when you're ready. Take your time here. But I hope that you enjoyed the class today and thinking about this power that is just ever present within you. I hope that today we tapped in a little bit and you can think about that power moving forward and just moving from the space of the core with everything that you do. And so, as always, if you have any questions, concerns, if you want to make some requests for future classes in terms of what we might be strengthening or stretching, don't hesitate to reach out to me via email or calling my office. And I hope you all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.